Well, Joe, it's absolutely massive, and it was a great weekend for all four of them. Your full timers, Tony Breidinger and Amber Balkan, sixth and eighth. Breidinger had to start at the rear along with Isabella Robusto because they weren't able to take a time in practice, and that relegated them to the last row of the grid. So their finish is even more impressive when you consider the drive through the field that they had to make. And I love that Amber Balkan kept the receipts on a Twitter troll that was saying, no, none of you are going to finish in the top 10. Guess what? They all finished in the top 10 and deserve a lot of credit for that. But specifically, the two part-time drivers, of course, Isabella Robusto, we've talked about her a lot on the show this year, and coming back from her injury that kind of derailed last season for her, she's looked very, very strong, and she drove all the way up to second place. Of course, William Sawalich was the dominant car of the day. Nobody was going to catch him. He led all but one lap of this race. But I guess you could say if he's in a class of his own, then Isabella Robusto was a class winner for everybody else with her second place run. And Taylor Reimer as well, qualifying and finishing in third place. Massive improvement from where she ran in this race last year. We'll see her back at DuQuoin, and potentially she hinted at the end of last season that she wants to do at least one pavement race with Venturini as well, as that's kind of the career trajectory that she's on. But second and third for those two, especially two female drivers on the podium, so to speak, in ARCA. Huge moment for the entire stock car racing landscape.
Top 10 is another significant milestone to have. Four females, and if there was another female in the field to get there, have the top 10 females potentially in the future. How significant would that be once we get to the point where seeing more than two or three females finishing in the top 10 in a race? How huge would that be as a turning moment for motorsports?
Well, Joe, I talked about this on the show earlier this year as well. And it's the point Dave Moody brought up on his radio show. We can kind of make that comparison with the NHRA and a championship driver like Erica Enders. The headlines no longer say female driver wins NHRA event or, female driver Erica Enders. It's just Erica Enders because it's common enough in NHRA now, and John Force's daughters and several others. I mean, Shirley Muldowney's an absolute legend in the drag racing world. They've had very many successful female drivers come up through the ranks in that part of the motorsports landscape, but we haven't really seen that in stock car racing, and certainly not since Danica Patrick retired several years ago now. So for Venturini and Toyota, just to field four female drivers in one race is a historic moment, but to have all four of them finish in the top 10, obviously a top 10 in a 20-car ARCA race is not the same as a 40-car Cup Series race, but if we continue on the path that we're on, making the progress that we are, potentially we could see Isabella Robusto doing that in just a few years' time here. Not that we want to rush her up a ladder or anything, but this is the first step. And it can't emphasize enough. I think Robusto had like 30 laps on dirt. This was only her second dirt race that I know of, at least, in following her career, and to come in here and be the highest finishing Venturini car, and for Venturini as a whole to get a result like this. And I know the show's called Women in Motorsports, but let's show Chris Wright a little bit of love as well. He finished in the top 10, so half of the top 10 was Venturini Motorsports this weekend. So an all-around good result for them. And for Breidinger and Balkan, of course, the two female drivers, like I said on Encore Monday night, they certainly needed that because it's been a rough few races for each of them with some DNFs and things like that. So, great weekend, and hopefully there's more to come, not just in ARCA, but in the top three series of NASCAR in the years to come as well.